I've made it to Starbucks and I've half drunk my coffee, so I'll start heading back towards Wan Chai now. So what's a job to be done? Well, a job to be done is something like in my business, when you are wanting to come to Hong Kong and you don't have any permissions to come here, the job to be done in that case is to get the permissions to come here, and that's what we do. So in my immigration business, the principal job to be done is to get that visa. It's pretty straightforward and easy to understand. That is, Professor Christensen cites two other really interesting examples that are less obvious but are still, really illustrative of how you would go about determining what that job to be done is. Because if you can figure out what that job to be done is, you can develop a proposition that specifically deals with addressing that job to be done, and you're therefore achieving market alignment in relation to what it is that you're selling and what the customer is actually buying. But these two examples are McDonald's milkshakes. The job to be done in a McDonald's milkshake for a particular segment of their customers, that is those people who buy that wholesome beverage between 7:30 in the morning and 11 o'clock in the morning too. They're not buying it for satiating a particular need to have a milkshake at that time. I think the study showed in that instance, that illustrates a job to be done widely, that the actual job to be done there was to give the customer something to toy with as they commuted their 20-minute journey to work in the car. They didn't replace it with a banana, they didn't replace it with donuts or bagels. What they did was they used a milkshake to complete that job to be done. So another second example that he cites is the example of an individual, a university student who's moving into his university town for the very first time, and he has to furnish a studio apartment. So the job to be done there is to furnish that studio apartment. So if you're in Hong Kong or elsewhere for that matter and you have to furnish a studio apartment and you're a student, where do you go to satisfy that job to be done? Well, it turns out, of course, we're talking about IKEA, and IKEA have become the world expert in satisfying that particular job to be done that drives people to go to IKEA in the first place. So again, in the context of intelligent content marketing, and identifying what your job to be done is, you get that nailed and you develop a proposition that squarely, in a risk-free manner, addresses that job to be done, then you're on your way.